Hello, YouTubes. Are you tired of doing this? Then stop doing that. Today I'm going to teach a little bit of quick coloring with a little software called Clip Studio Paint, or formerly known as Manga Studio. First we're going to take our Magic Wand tool, also known as Auto Select, and over here you have the subtool. Usually I think that's on this side. I have obviously changed my setup a little bit. Over on this side you have the subtool, which we are going to set to prefer other layers to select. We are also, under Tool Properties, going to set Area Scaling to On. And also, we are going to set to Darkest Pixel as our goal, so to speak. And what all that does is, when I go ahead and click outside the lines, it immediately selects everything on the outside of the lines, regardless of what layer it is on. Which also means that you get a little bit of hole like this, but you can also easily hold Shift and click again to fill that in. And same thing here. Now, this method does have one slight weakness, and that weakness is it doesn't really fill in thin gaps. So there is a little bit of manual work, but we can easily do that with this. That is to say, the Marquee tool, or Lasso tool as most people know it, which you can also set under the subtool settings. The subtool settings are, of course, individual for each various tool that you're using. I'm just going to finish selecting this and filling in a few more gaps here. I'm holding Shift because I'm adding to the selection of the outside, not selecting the inside. I'll get back to why I'm doing that. I think I've gotten all the gaps as it's so. The reason I select the outside is because it's a lot quicker to fill in an entire character. There's a spot right there. It's a lot easier to fill in an entire character by selecting the outside and doing a fill layer by inversing it. You have on this little thing right here an Invert Selected Area button. The same button can also be found up here. We're going to hit that, and that's going to select the inside instead of the outside. Now, my base color for this character is going to be this color. This is, of course, my color set. And all I have to do is hit Fill either here or up here, and it will automatically fill everything I have selected. Now, obviously, this isn't, the end of a color character. Jeez, this is not the end of the colored character. So we're gonna have to do some extra work on this. Now, in order for me to easily do that work, I'm going to first of all lock transparency on the layer I have right now, which is my color layer. And then I'm going to go with the Fill tool. Now, the Fill tool, much like the Magic Wand tool, has a subtool setting called Refer Other Layers. We're going to set that, and we are also going to set this one to Area Scaling, as well as to Darkest Pixel. The rest of these kind of tend to follow as they see fit, I suppose. Anyway, what this allows me to do is this. And that is much easier than manually coloring everything. Now, obviously there is some manual work involved because, as you can see, again, it doesn't fill in the gaps very well, so you're gonna have to go over and clean up some of the gaps here and there. But overall, it's a much faster method than filling in everything manually, because you at least get the base layer down before you start working on the details. Need that color. Now obviously you can't really use this method on anything that is open. So for instance, there's a gap right here. Now I could fill this in, but for the purpose of this, I've left it open just to show what happens if I have a gap in the lines. That looks silly, doesn't it? The way to fix this is either by finishing the lines, or alternatively, you can stay on your coloring layer and just draw a quick line that will block the inside from the outside, and then use the fill tool again. On some colors, this causes a little line right here, but you can easily fix that by just doing it manually. As you can see here, again, I had a little bit of a gap in the eye, and therefore it filled in the iris, which I can easily fix by just doing this one manually because it's much easier. On anything that has a lot of lines, such as, you know, hair, if you have a very line-heavy hairstyle, it's going to be much more difficult to use this method, but what you can do to alleviate that is draw your inner lines on a separate layer, and then just hide the layer, and then you can fill in what's left, which is, of course, the outline of the hair, as an example. Now, for any areas that aren't lined, such as, in this case, I have some cheek colors, you can't really use this method, or, well, you can, but you'll have to do the blocking method first, like this, and then fill in from there. I personally find it easier to just do it manually sometimes because, well, it's just faster that way. And there you have it. That's about the entirety of the coloring session. What that took was about, what, 5 minutes overall in total, I think? Something like that. It's very quick once you get used to it, and it's really a lot more practical than doing everything one stroke at a time. Right, that's about it. Thank you for watching, and check back for another video later. Cheerio!